Coming up next, we're firing up the time machine and head back to the 70s. Can you guess the year? It was the year that Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's all-time home run record. And then Muhammad Ali stunned George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle. And in music, it was a pummeling too. One song came when a future rock star hit on the wife of one of his college professors. And he didn't know this, but she was pregnant at the time. And then there's the all-time classic everybody sings along to, but the legendary artist behind it is embarrassed by it. And he only made a couple grand from the song, even though it's one of the biggest songs ever. Then there's the guy who wrote a song as a joke to make fun of his brother's speech impediment, and it hit number one in 22 countries. And then there's the classic rocker who ripped off a lyric from an oldies song, but he misheard it and has been singing the wrong word for 50 plus years, one that doesn't even exist in the English language. It was a fabulous year in music. We're counting them down next on Professor of Rock with special guests and great stories. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you recited the bad jokes inside your favorite flavor of Laffy Taffy back in the day, you're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now, and also check out our new podcast on Apple and Spotify. Click right here or click below to get all of our interviews. You know, when historians reflect on the year we're going to cover today, they immediately bring up the resignation of Richard Nixon as the President of the United States. Like I said, it was a year that Muhammad Ali stunned George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle, and Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's impossible, untouchable career home run record. On the music scene, it was another year loaded with so many exuberant classics. It was difficult to narrow a list down to 11 songs, but we did it. The year? 1974. We begin with a tune that was spawned by a chance encounter at a party on a college campus. At number 11 is Steelly Dan with a Ricky Don't Lose That Number. So back when Donal Fagen was a student at Bard College in upstate New York, he met a fellow student at a party named Ricky DuCournay. They chatted, they hit it off. At some point, Donald gave her his phone number. It's the only one you want. She never called him though. Not only was Ricky married to one of his college professors at Bard when he made the move, but she was also pregnant. Years later, Ricky would reflect on the whole thing in the song that inspired it. She was intrigued by Donald and tempted to call him, but she, decided against it. Being pregnant and married is probably a big reason. She believed the number, and Ricky Don't Lose That Number might have meant more than just digits on a napkin. Maybe it was something deeper, a kind of metaphor for identity or the self. You tell yourself you're not my kind. Either way, that brief encounter clearly left a mark that led to Steely Dan's highest charting single. When Donal Fagen wrote the lyrics of the song, he sent a message of longing and the hope of reconnection. When you get home. Ricky DuCournay became a renowned writer, poet, and visual artist. Ricky actually won the Letters Award, the Lannan Literary Award for Fiction, and an Academy Award in Literature from the American Academy of Arts and Letters. Meanwhile, Ricky Don't Lose That Number, featuring background vocals by future Eagle Timothy B. Schmidt, dialed up to number 3 in Canada and number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. Don't lose that number. Ricky, don't lose that number. Jumping into the top 10, at number 10, it's a song that's become huge. A lot of people think it's culturally insensitive. I've got Hooked on a Feeling, the Spirited remake by Blue Sweed. Hooked on a Feeling. In 1974, a Swedish band named Blue Sweed, led by vocalist Bjorn Skifs, catapulted to fame with their rendition of Hooked on a Feeling, a song that had already seen success in the U.S. with B.J. Thomas's version. I'm hooked on a feeling. But the song was about to get a whole new lease on life. The original Hooked on a Feeling, that was penned by Mark James, and it was first recorded by B.J. Thomas back in 1968. BJ's version, notable for its electric sitar introduction, that rose to number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1969. But it was British musician Jonathan King who in 1971 added the now iconic Ooga Chaka chant to his cover, giving the song a unique twist that caught the attention of so many listeners. Ooga, ooga,
I can't stop this feeling.
Bjorn and his bandmates decided to cover Hooked on a Feeling, incorporating King's Ooga Chaka intro and tweaking the lyrics to avoid the drug references that were in the first.
I just stay affecting.
EMI Sweden released Blue Swede's Hooked on a Feeling as a single in February of '74, and actually only a few 45s landed in the US. Nothing was happening with this song at all. That is until a DJ in Connecticut heard the song over the stereo system while he was shopping. He loved the song so much he bought the record and he began playing it on his radio show the next day.
That you're in love with me.
And Blue Swede's version went from the Who Cares file to becoming a regional hit in Northeast America, and then it took the nation by storm, going to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 by April, staying on the chart for 18 weeks.
I'm hooked on a feeling.
And, you know, hey, everybody's kids love this Blue Swede version, mostly because of this movie.
Blue Sweed, 1973, that song belongs to me!
Back to the countdown of the top 11 songs of '74. You know, if you don't like the song at number 9, I'm afraid you're going to have to eat your lunch all by yourself. It's Eagles Flying High with the rocker Already Gone. You know, after 2 albums that were steeped in country rock, Eagles yearned for a grittier, more electric sound. They wanted to play rock. Now, some had labeled them soft rock at this point, and they were ready to go beyond that. The third album, On the Border, marked this shift. They fired their producer and shelved all the songs from their album sessions, but 2. They actually got a third guitarist, and then they were sent this song, Already Gone. Jack Tempchin wrote it. He'd previously written Peaceful Easy Feeling for the Eagles.
Peaceful, easy feeling.
When he sent a demo of Already Gone to Glenn Frey, the liberation and defiance of the song really stood out to Glenn. It's exactly what he wanted.
The stars and still not see the light. That's right.
This is what Jack Tempchin shared with me about working with Glenn and his bandmates on Already Gone.
I took it over and was running it, and I had a gig there with Rob Strandland. Now, he, as far as I was concerned, his parents were country singers. He lived way the heck out, 2.5 miles from me, out in the country, you know, in El Cajon, and he had a horse and wore cowboy boots. So I thought he'll help me. And we're in the back room of the place, and we opened up these big refrigerator, and there was a jug. And we started drinking out of this jug, and turned out to be hard cider. And I had never, I'd never had alcohol or marijuana or I'd never been high on anything. And I don't know why I started drinking this stuff. But suddenly I felt so great. And we wrote this song in about 20 minutes, you know. And then part of the song, the greatest lyric in the song is, "Woo-hoo-hoo!" I just felt so good. Then we got on stage and we did the song, pretty much forgot about it. Called me on the phone, said, "You know that country song? I think it'd make a great rock and roll song." And I go, yeah, sure. And then the next day he held the phone up to the speakers, and the big speakers in the studio, and boom, there it was. So it's 3 chords, and they repeat over and over, never changing.
Well, I heard some people talking just the other day.
I guess it was just a feeling. And, you know, I only kind of got drunk or high on alcohol that time and one other time. You'd think I would have just kept doing it. You know, if you do something and write a big song, you think, but I never did it again.
Already Gone climbed to number 12 in Canada. It only made number 32 on the Billboard Hot 100, but still it helped transition the Eagles from a softer, predominant folk image to an edgier rock sound. Coming in at number 8 on the top 11 songs of '74, I've got Harry Chapin's cautionary tale for parents, the wonderful and moving Cats in the Cradle.
and the cats in the cradle and the silver spoon.
Talked about this a few months ago. The origins of Cats in the Cradle trace back to a poem written by Harry's wife, Sandra Chapin. She wrote it as a reflection on the relationship between her first husband and his father, who was often too busy with work to spend time with his son.
The man on the moon, when you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when.
Harry adapted the poem into a song, crafting a narrative that resonated with so many. A father too preoccupied with life's demands, he misses out on his son's childhood only to find that years later, his grown son has become just like him, too busy to spend any time with his father. It turns around.
Just like me, my boy was just like me.
Now, Sandra's poem sat for a while till Harry stumbled upon it. First, he wasn't sure it was a song he wanted to tackle. According to Sandy, it took the birth of their own son, Josh, for the message to really hit Harry more directly. It was only then that he returned to the poem and began turning it into what would become one of the most powerful and enduring songs of the 70s.
And bills to pay, he learned to walk while I was away.
Harry turned his life around, almost losing his family altogether when the rock star lifestyle overtook him. But this song was a cautionary tale that made him an even better father. He placed himself within the context of the song. Chapin admitted later that the song scared the hell out of him. He acknowledged its reflection on his own life and the universal struggle of balancing work and family.
Oh, I said, not today, I got a lot to do. He said, that's okay.
After the song hit #1 in the US and Canada, Harry used the song as a motivator, and it became the best version of himself. Great father and great husband. And sadly, Harry was killed in a freaky car accident at only 38. But the song has changed so many lives, making us all strive to be better fathers.
If you don't mind, he said, I'd love to, Dad, if I can find the time.
It's a song that either makes you feel like total crap or feel pretty good. It's a sobering song for sure.
Dad, we're gonna have a good time there.
I'll bet you can name the next song on our countdown, the top 11 of 74, in one bar. That's right. It's Elton John's Benny and the Jets at #7. Featured on the epic double album Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Benny and the Jets was another genius collaborative creation between Elton John and his longtime lyricist Bernie Taupin. Now, Bernie envisioned Benny and the Jets as a satirical take on the music industry, imagining a futuristic and androgynous band led by the enigmatic Benny. He described the band as a proto-sci-fi punk band fronted by an androgynous woman who looks like something out of a Helmut Newton photograph. The recording of Benny and the Jets, that took place in France, where Elton and his band had previously recorded albums like Honky Chateau. Produced by Gus Dudgeon, the track was crafted to sound like a live performance, but it's not actually a live performance. Gus achieved that effect by adding crowd noises and applause from various live recordings, including a 1972 Elton John concert at the Royal Festival Hall, and also a 1970 Jimi Hendrix performance at the Isle of Wight. He also incorporated hand claps and whistles to enhance the live atmosphere. Elton intentionally delivered a stutter to his vocals on Benny to enhance the futuristic robotic vibe to the song that he and Bernie intended for it to be all along. It wasn't a genuine stutter, though. It was actually a vocal technique employed to produce a specific effect. The idea to incorporate a stutter on the chorus, it was totally Elton's. Going back to that iconic one-bar, 4-beat piano intro on Benny, Gus noticed that Elton had played the beat before he continued with the intro and thought it would be cool to leave that in the recording to add to the count-in of an actual live show. Turned out to be a brilliant idea because it totally worked. Elton was initially reluctant for Benny and the Jets to be a single. He didn't think it would do well as a radio track, but a DJ at CKLW in Windsor, Ontario, Canada, felt otherwise. Started playing it on the station, and listeners immediately lit up the phones, prompting another major market station to follow, and soon many followed after that, leading to Elton's second #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100. It's also Elton's first song to make the Hot Soul Singles chart. It went to #15 there. Making its way to number 6 on our countdown of the top 11 songs of 1974, it's a classic, Band on the Run, racing in with Paul McCartney and Wings. Now, the inspiration for Band on the Run, that stemmed from a comment made by George Harrison during a business meeting where he lamented feeling like prisoners in the music industry. This notion of escape and liberation that resonated with Paul, prompting him to craft a song that encapsulated the desire to break free from these constraints. If we ever get out of here. That was the comment.
If I ever get out of here.
Recording Band on the Run, that was an adventure in and of itself. Now, McCartney chose to record in Nigeria. He was seeking a change of scenery and a fresh creative environment. However, the sessions were fraught with challenges and problems, including subpar studio conditions and the theft of demo tapes and his writing notebooks at knife point. Paul and Linda had been sternly warned not to walk through the streets at night, but they threw caution to the wind, decided to do it, and they were mugged by 4 hoodlums, who first offered them a ride. But the muggers got out of their vehicle, they brandished a knife, and demanded Paul give them his wallet and a bag that he was carrying that had the demos of cassettes and notebooks for Band on the Run, the whole thing. Now, fortunately, Paul gave them what they wanted, and the thieves jumped back in their car and they sped away. But they were the only copies that he had. His masterpiece, Band on the Run, was gone in an instant. He knew he had to track down the stolen lyrics and tapes or just start from scratch.
Band on the run.
The police were never able to track down the thieves that took the stuff, and so Paul, undeterred, did it all from memory, infusing the song with a raw and authentic energy. The song's structure is notable for its 3 distinct musical sections, each representing a different facets of the escape narrative. This innovative composition showcased McCartney's versatility and willingness to experiment, further solidifying his reputation as a master songwriter and arranger. And actually, it probably turned out better by losing all that stuff. Band on the Run hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 here in America, and it also hit number 1 in Canada and New Zealand. Onward with the top 11 songs of 74, halfway through. He's a picker, he's a grinner, he's a lover, he's a sinner. Talking about The Joker by the Steve Miller Band, landing at number 5.
Music in the sun. I'm a joker.
Steve Miller's career was on the ropes before it even started. He had 7 consecutive albums that flopped. If his next one wasn't a hit, the label was going to get rid of him and his career would likely be over. Man, Steve Miller was desperate for a hit. He'd do anything for it. Now, a short time later, he would write a song that he thought was just okay. He thought was kind of silly, The Joker.
Music in the sun. I'm a joker.
But it was hilariously unique in its lingo. It had words and phrases that we still sing today and a guitar effect that truly set it apart from everything on radio.
Some people call me Maurice.
Now, Steve Miller thought The Joker would be a decent album track at best, whereas the suits from the label were predicting it would be a smash. And for once the suits were right, it went to number 1, and it had a lyric that Miller has sung incorrectly for decades. He took it from another song, Pompous of Love, which was actually Puppetess of Love. It was from a 50s doo-wop song, The Letter. He misheard it.
Sweet words of his mortality, and discuss with you the puppetels of love.
The real lyric is, let me whisper sweet words of dismorality and discuss the puppetess of love, like a puppet. But you know what? Steve Miller, he heard what he heard. He heard pompous of love, effectively creating a word that, you'll find on the lyric sheet or in the liner notes, but not in Webster's dictionary. It doesn't exist.
'Cause I speak of the pompous of love.
Now, Steve told the story of The Joker as if he were describing a lovable rock and roll drifter. I mean, the lines about being a midnight toker and a gangster of love, those were partly tongue-in-cheek referencing old bandmates and characters from previous Steve Miller Band songs.
Some call me the gangster of love.
For example, Some People Call Me the Space Cowboy. That comes from a track called Space Cowboy on his album Brave New World from '69.
I'm a space cowboy.
Gangster Love, that was from the Sailor album.
Some people call me the space cowboy.
Now, the wolf whistle simulation after the lovey-dovey all the time part, that was created by the combination of a slide and a wah-wah pedal. The Pompatus of the Joker, that was a smash for Steve and the Steve Miller Band. Shaking Trees and Speakers, Coast to Coast, on its way to being a #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100, giving Steve Miller his first gold record, his first big hit, and he would actually put it above his washing machine. Keep him humble.
I sure don't want to hurt no one.
Next up on the countdown of the top 11 songs of 1974, believe it or not, it's another stuttering song. There was something in the water in 74. This time, it's the greatest stuttering song ever. It's Bachman Turner Overdrive at number 4 with You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. This track was actually Randy making fun of his brother. It was a total accident. He wrote it as a joke. He wrote it just to tease his brother. Actually, he told me a great story. Let's listen to him.
Well, it was a song that was left off the album. I used the song because I was producing the band to play a light rhythm part, to play a heavy rhythm part, to get a bass and drum sound. And then you're tweaking the mic and you're doing the playback of this song that is not really a song, but it's got parts in it that you know that they're going to be on the album. And so to lead the song, I start to sing nonsensically about a woman who took my heart away, and I start to stutter to tease my brother as just a brother-to-brother joke. And up comes the thing, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. I don't know where that came from. The song is left off the album. I mixed one version on a cassette. The guy who heard Taking Care of Business and said, yeah, leave the piano in. BTO with the piano is great. You're going to be singing this song, by the way, every day for the rest of your life. Are you going to love this song? And he said, you're going to love You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. Put it on the album. So I played it for him. I said, there's no room on the album. It's classic rock. There's 4 songs aside. He said, I'll help you. Take the 4 longest 4-minute plus song, put them on one side, get the 4 shortest, and add this song in there. Put it on there. We put it on. It went to #1 in 22 countries and was a BTO million-selling single. For an album rock band to have a single at that time, to be #1 was amazing. And later I got an award from the American Stuttering Association at the best stuttering song of all time, beating out Benny and the Jets and My Generation and everything. So it was really a cool, great song. And there are many, many dance cool versions of that song as well.
Just proof that you never know. I mean, you can use all your musicianship, all your writing skills, your experience as an artist, and never have a hit. And then there's a story where you create this thing as a joke, really.
Right.
As the lead single from BTO's 3rd album, Not Fragile, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet shot to #1 in Canada, Denmark, West Germany, South Africa, and here in the Billboard Hot 100. In the UK, it just missed #1 and went to #2. Coming in at #3 in the countdown of the top of 74, we give a big hail to Redbone and their feel-good classic, Come and Get Your Love. You know, in the history of the rock era, no act sounded quite like Redbone. They were historic. Formed by brothers Pat and Lolly Vegas, Redbone was the first Native American rock band to hit it big on the mainstream charts. Their roots were Yaqui, Shoshone, and Mexican-American heritage blended into a unique sound that was part swamp rock, part funk, part native soul. The Vegas brothers had been successful songwriters in the 60s, penning tracks for Tina Turner and Aretha Franklin. But by 1969, they wanted to tell their own story. So they formed Redbone, naming it after a Cajun term for someone of mixed race. From the very start, their identity wasn't just in their name, though. It was in their mission. They incorporated tribal rhythms into their grooves, and they let the world know that this was music from the reservation, and it rocked. Originally titled Hail, Come and Get Your Love had a hypnotic 4-note bass line and a lyrical hook that was like candy to the ears. I think it might be the greatest feel-good song of all time. They renamed Hail to Come and Get Your Love and had their second top 40 hit after The Witch Queen of New Orleans. That song actually made it to number 21 in 71.
Of New Orleans.
Pat Vegas stated that Come and Get Your Love wasn't intended to be deep or political. It was written by Lolly to make people feel good. The message is essentially about self-acceptance and encouraging confidence in love and identity. Now, the groove and main hook emerged during a studio jam session. They immediately knew they had something special. Redbone's Come and Get Your Love stayed on the chart for 18 weeks, en route to selling over 1,045,000 in the US, and it went to number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. Moving right along with the top 11 songs in 1974, it's time to grab a glass, raise it in the air, and sing along. One of the greatest sing-alongs ever, I think. Piano Man by Mr. Billy Joel at number 2.
Sing us a song, you're the piano man.
You know, before he was a piano man, Billy Joel was just a guy trying to survive. Billy's debut album, Cold Spring Harbor, flopped due to a mastering error that made his voice sound off-pitch like one of the Chipmunks. Actually, Billy Joel fled New York for L.A., tried to escape both the industry and himself. On the run from a dishonest record label and a bum contract, Billy Joel dropped off the grid and hid out in a dive bar in L.A. There, under the alias of Bill Martin, he spent 6 months on the down low playing music for down-and-out crowds. It didn't pay much at all. There was no glory in it, but it was a life-altering decision. That's because it taught him how to take his songcraft to a new level, and it gave him the inspiration to write the signature song of all signature songs. I mean, the signature song that all signature songs are judged by. Piano Man.
Sing us a song tonight.
Is there a greater sing-along than Piano Man? I don't think so. I mean, this song broke him into the mainstream and made him a superstar. Gave him his song. It's a song that generations of fans have turned into a go-to karaoke classic, especially on Saturday nights. And years later, Joel would find out that initially he only made $8,000 from the song, even though it's one of the biggest ever. And over time, the image of the Piano Man became something of a burden for Billy Joel. He felt like it pigeonholed him to a style and kind of an image that he wanted to move beyond. He actually told Howard Stern in a 2014 interview that he thought it was a decent song. But because it doesn't change too much, playing it on the piano get really boring. Looking back on his legacy, Joel said, "I have no idea why that song became so popular. It's like a karaoke favorite. The melody, it's not very good. It's very repetitious, while the lyrics are like limericks. I was shocked and embarrassed when it became a hit."
And he's quick with a joke or to light up your smoke.
But Billy Joel is dead wrong. I mean, Piano Man, it's got one of the greatest lyrics he ever wrote, which describes Billy and his music to a T to all of us fans.
It's a pretty good crowd for a Saturday.
It's a pretty good crowd for a Saturday, and the manager gives me a smile because he knows it's me they've been coming to see to forget about life for a while. And that's what Billy's music has meant to us.
Coming to see, to forget about life for a while.
Now, by chart standards, the single wasn't a monster. The highest position for it was, I think, number 14 in New Zealand. It went to number 10 in Canada. But on the Billboard Hot 100, it peaked at a modest number 25. But all these years later, it's one of the greatest songs in history. All right, the track we chose as the number 1 song of 1974, we got the Southern rock standard, Leonard Skinner with Sweet Home Alabama. Beyond the rebel yell of Sweet Home Alabama is a story of Southern pride, a musical feud, and a whole lot of misunderstanding. Leonard Skinner, the rowdy band of Jacksonville rockers led by Ronnie Van Zant, was still on the rise at the point. They had the attitude of the Allman Brothers and the swagger of the Stones, let's be clear. But before Sweet Home Alabama was recorded, They hadn't yet carved out their legacy. And this was the song that not only established Skynyrd's image, but it stirred up the proverbial pot all over North America. Neil Young, who they actually really liked, by the way, had released a pair of songs, Southern Man and Alabama, that took a harsh swipe at the American South.
Oh, Alabama. Southern man, better keep your head.
These songs called out racism, injustice, and the legacy of slavery. Important issues, no doubt, but they painted the region with a pretty broad brush. Ronnie Van Zant, he wasn't having it. He felt that Neil had generalized a complex culture and believed that most Southern folks, like Skynyrd's blue-collar fans, were tired of being judged by outsiders. So Ronnie, along with Ed King and Gary Rosington, wrote a response, a musical counterpunch, if you will.
Well, I hope Neil Young will remember.
Believe it or not, Sweet Home Alabama did not originate in Alabama, though. He was actually born in Los Angeles. Guitarist Ed King came up with his famous opening riff in his sleep. Literally. He said he dreamed the lick and he ran to grab his guitar when he woke up to get it down before it disappeared into the ether.
Turn it up.
Ronnie wrote the lyrics in about an hour. The words were direct, sarcastic, and rebellious, but never outright hateful. It was Southern pride with a side of wit. Well, I hope Neil Young will remember, a Southern man don't need him around anyhow. From the start, Sweet Home Alabama was misunderstood. Some heard it as a Confederate anthem, while others heard it as anti-racist. The truth is, it's somewhere in the middle of that. For example, if you take the lyric, "In Birmingham they love the governor, boo, boo, boo." That is not an endorsement of the segregationist Governor George Wallace. It's actually sarcasm. Ronnie once said they were criticizing Wallace's racism, not supporting it in any fashion. That boo, 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 that was the band's way of flipping the bird to Wallace, giving him the big old middle finger. On the Billboard Hot 100, it settled at number 8, but it would evolve into one of the most well-known American rock songs ever recorded, and we're actually either going to cover it or just cover it, depending on when the episode drops in more complete detail. That completes the countdown of the top 11 songs of 1974, but as usual, I have to list a couple of honorable mentions. I've got 3. Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot, Radar Love by Golden Earring, and Greg Allman's Midnight Rider. Classics all together.
Sundown, you better take care. We've got a thing that's called radar love. Not gonna let 'em catch the midnight ride.
Leave us a comment about 1974. What are the greatest songs? What are the greatest artists? What are your memories of these songs? Let's have a great discussion. What else would you like to see? We're wrapping up on our countdowns, thinking about doing a top 10 albums of each year, because there's so many albums that come out that are so iconic, and would love to tell the stories of those. Let me know if you'd like to see that. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.